Hi everyone, and welcome back to some more Hoya example solves. Today I'm going to be doing some more 5x5 examples focusing mainly on cross edges, but I'm going to be doing white and yellow neutral solves, so I'm including third and fourth centre in this video as well, to show you how in each solve I end up with the cross colour centre that I do. So here we go. First up we've got this, and we've got a very similar pattern on red and white here that I can see. Well, what I'm actually going to do here, I'm not going to do white, because I know that to either make a T-shape or a square, I need another one of these plus centers, the sort of edge centers, and I can't see it straight away, but I can see one on red. And I think in this case, it's nicer to make a square on red than a T, because I can do that by putting this center over here and then connecting it to this, and then bringing this bar back up like that. Now I know the other one's here, and I can't see any more, so I'm just going to rotate this way, and I can actually see a bar here already, which is nice. So I'm going to just build the center like that. And now what I know from, without having to look anywhere already, I know from before this center is in this layer. I know the other one on the back happens to be in this layer as well. So when I bring this up and I see that this edge is also in the same layer, instead of moving everything to the right, which I would normally do because I'm righty, because everything's already in the left, then I'll move the empty layer over to the left like that. And now I can just build this bar, connecting those two pieces, and then connecting these two as well. I know that with red on the back, which is not one of my cross centers, whatever my cross center is will need to be on the bottom, and in this case it's going to be white. So as I'm building this, I'm going to be watching the white pieces, as you can see here. And this is a really interesting pattern we've got already, because we've got one bar ready made here, and we've got two plus centers, or like edge centers, on the front, ready to make another bar. And we've got these two as well, and I'm going to be paying attention to these because I'm going to want to preserve them. So I know that the two remaining centerpieces are going to be on the bottom, and I'm going to take a look there before I do any solutions, because the solution that I do is going to be dependent on the position of those two centers on the white face. So looking here, we've got them in a diagonal, and this is important because they could be in a diagonal or they could be in like adjacent spaces. And if they were in adjacent spaces, then what I would do first might be to insert this center as well to make a bar, and then insert these and leave this bar till last. But if I were to do that now, to either insert these two or this, then that would leave me with this sort of like S shape, and that's not great for building the next bar. So what I'm going to do instead is I'm actually going to insert this bar first, so that kicks at least one of these two pieces out, and then we get a much better case. So I'll insert this bar onto the left. I know these two pieces are going to get preserved, so that's nice. And then I'm going to go straight into inserting these two as well with a slice move. So now we've got this one, and this one. And what I'm going to do is put this one over here so that I can do slice this down and slice this up to make a bar at the same time. But that is going to break up this, so I'm just going to do one move to preserve these two pieces. So then I've got this and this. I could do a slice down and then treat this as a three mover and then slice up. And straight away I'm going to put this back down into the D layer because I know that those are already solved. And then we've got our last piece here. Because we have no solved cross edges already, I can immediately put this in the back, flip it like that. So then when I align blue, I've just got a three move insert. And I did see red in that as well, which is also solved relative to blue, and I've got a piece here as well, so I'm definitely going to want to bring that to the U layer. I can see there was nothing else in this side, no other red pieces, so I'm going to immediately align back here, and the other piece is down here, and this is fine because it's misoriented and because it needs to go on the right. It's the right hand wing. What I can do after I've solved this is just bring it up like that, and it'll be a three mover, so that's quite a good case. So I'm just going to insert this one first, three moves, and then the setup, and now this is also a three mover. And this is really interesting. Just before I do this, I don't think I necessarily would see this in a solve, but if I did, then this would be a really cool thing to do. And I'm going to show it here because I think it's definitely worth looking out for if you can spot it. When we insert this piece is going to come out to the U layer, and it's going to be oriented. And we also have this green midge that's also oriented in the U layer. And if we were to just do this from this angle, we take it out, we get both the pieces in the U layer oriented. It's not an amazing case, but what we can do instead is notice that when we bring this edge up, it gets paired up with whatever midge is in UF. So Before I solve this, I'm going to do a U prime to put the correct green midge in UF, so that now when I insert this, we build a block. And that's really, really cool. And like I said, I don't know what the chances of me seeing that in a solve would be, but that's definitely something that if you can see, is really, really worth doing. So now, because I can see that we've got this orange here, when we insert green, it's going to get moved into the top, which is nice. And I can't see the other green piece yet. So what I'm going to do is, instead of doing like a U prime, D prime, and then an F2, it could be in this back slot. As you can see, we've got loads of green pieces here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to insert it into the right and do an R2 and hope that the green piece is here, because then I'll be able to see it straight away. But the other thing is that I know that by doing an R2, I then see every slot on this side. So if the green piece is not there, I know it'll be in the back left or something like that. So I'm going to do an R2, and it does happen to be down here, which is nice. And so in this case, I'm just going to solve it normally because it's quite nice to execute like that. So we have our orange midge now in the slot but flipped, and we have these two other pieces both oriented as well. Now this is not an amazing case. I don't really want to solve this one first, because then the midge gets stuck in the back. And if I were to just solve the midge first by doing something like that, I get both the wings in the U layer that are oriented, and that's not great either. Okay, so what I can do instead, this is a bit tricky to see, but I think this is definitely worth it in this case. I want to bring the midge to the U layer, realistically. I don't want to solve it first, and what would be really nice is if I could solve one of the wings. And I don't want to solve this wing first, because this will get stuck in a back slot, as I said. So if I solve this wing first, because it's already in the U layer, and the midge is in the D layer, if I do a D2 to put them in the same side, if I then do an L2 to solve this wing, the midge then gets brought up into the U layer. And so aligning our cross, we now have this case because this wing hasn't moved. So I've been able to track it because it hasn't moved. And I know that when I just insert this in 3 moves, this wing will come up to here and then just be a 4 mover. Like that. So that was quite an awkward last case, but I found a nice solution for it. All right, next up, we've got this. I've got a lot of green pieces to work with, so I'm going to do green first. And I can see that I will need one plus center to attach to the green centerpiece, so that I can then insert these two 2x1s as well to make a 2x3 block. And I know that the green center is going to be on the back. I'm not going to look to see if there's one of these already attached, because I don't think that's worth, the rotation. So I'm just going to insert this straight to the back. I'm going to sort of do a wide R and then a 3L wide at the same time to make sure I can see all of the green pieces, and then I can just insert the bar like that. Now that's made this on the top, so instead of doing an F and then a U2 to save a move, I'm just going to do an F prime to put the empty slots sort of in the same layer. So then we have our last piece up here. I'm going to do that, and I know as I'm inserting this, my next center is going to be white because green will go on the back, and then so white can go on the bottom. As we can see, this bar already ready to make a square like that. And as I'm doing that, I saw that brought down this 2x1 here, so I can go ahead and immediately extend that square. So putting those on the right, we have our last bar here. And I'm going to watch these two pieces because I know they're going to end up in the U layer. And I can see a blue piece here as well, so I think I'll focus on blue. I can pair up these pieces like this. And then I can see here that when I insert this bar with a U2, this edge is going to go with it. And the wing is going to end up in the front, which will be really nice. So I can see this, and as I'm doing that, I'm going to be looking around for the other blue piece. It's down here. So that's nice because it's misoriented, so I can immediately just do an L2 to set up opposite the oriented wing, and then we have a 3-move insertion. Next we've got red, and again we've got this piece and this piece that are in the U layer, which is nice. The other one is down here. Now I could just do an R2 to solve the midge, but that puts these two wings a bit too close together, and I'd have to use slice moves or something like that. So instead of just doing an R2, what I'm going to do is move this one over to here at the same time, so that when this one comes up, it will be here, this wing will be here, and then both of them will be a 3-mover. So I'm going to do R, U, R instead of an R2 there. So I've got this, and now I can insert, say, this piece first, and then I can insert this piece. And now this is pretty lucky. I happened to notice that made this orange block and this green block, which is really nice. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to do green first because they're in the front. And so I'll align the cross like this. Here I'm going to want to move this out of the way so that it will be a 3 mover when I insert this. And I can also solve this orange block at the same time. So I'll do a U to move this out of the way and bring this over. Then an R2 like that. Then solve this block. And now here I could just insert this piece as a 3 mover because, you know, that's what I set up to, but that will make this oriented in the back. So that's not great really, and if I can avoid it, I would love to, which I can. I can use a sledge to insert this piece instead, because that will leave this piece here, it will be misoriented, and then that will be a much more efficient insert with orange. All right, now we've got this, and this is interesting because there look like there are a lot of good options here. We have this white bar already. We have this on green and these 3 pieces. But what I'm actually going to do is blue, because what I can see is we've got 2 2x1s and another plus center. And that is enough, along with the very center piece, to make an entire 2x3. And although I've got this bar on white, I can't really see any other white pieces. This one's not super helpful. And while I can make a square on green, I don't know what's going to come down. If I were to do like an F and then an R wide prime, I don't know what other pieces I'm going to see here. I might not see any greens. So then I'm going to have to rotate anyway to look for another piece to go with this. But I know that whatever happens, I know that the blue center is going to be on the back because it's opposite green. And I know that I can connect this to make a 2x1, and then I have this one and this one as well. So I can make a 2x3 just by looking at the pieces that I can already see. So I'm going to do like a 3R wide prime here to connect that to there, and then bring this block up. And I did actually see this as well. This is just a bit of a lucky case. So I am going to use this 2x1 instead of this to make the bar like that. So then we've got these 2 pieces, the other one's back here. So I'm going to bring it round like this. And I know that blue is not one of my cross color centers. So I'm going to want to put blue on, for example, the bottom, and then solve whatever centers on the front, which in this case is going to be white. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to bring this down to make this bar on the bottom. And then instead of doing a D move and bringing this up and then having to do another rotation back down, what I'm going to do instead is just do a 3R wide prime, so that I don't have to do that rotation. And now I'm already set up to solve the white center on the front, which I can do by making a 2x3 with these pieces and the ones that are already on the front. I can do this like that, and then I have this center and I have this center, and I know my other one will be on the back face. Now I notice these 2 pieces, the 2 reds, so I'm going to track them. I'm going to have to move them out of the way anyway, so that I can line up this to be paired up with this, like that. And so I'll be keeping track of them there. They should stay, roughly where they are. Then our last piece is here. So I can set it up to be 1 move away from this. Then I can insert these and then bring this back up. And then instead of bringing this back up to make our last center, it'll end up on the front. I'll have to do a rotation. What I'll do instead is a similar thing, just bring it down so that I don't have to do an extra rotation. Now I can see the other red wing is really nice, and instead of dealing with this case in the front slot, which is a bit awkward, I've got nothing to preserve here, so I'm just going to bring it to the U layer in 1 move. And now we have this, and I can solve this by pairing these 2 pieces and splitting these up like that. Now I can solve this other wing in 1 move, and we have just a block insert, which is quite nice. I saw these 2 pieces on blue, so I'm going to do those next. And I think it's probably fine to just insert this straight away, obviously with the D2, because this will be a 4 mover. And I'm not seeing the other one immediately, so it must be in the back. And it's actually here. It's in the back in the U layer, which is definitely a best case scenario here. So I can insert just these 1 by 1, and they're both going to be really efficient. So I'll do this one first because I saw it first. We've got this one over here then, and I can just insert it like that. Next, I'll probably do orange because I can see this one's solved. This midge is also in the D layer, but I know that orange is where it needs to be relative to blue, so green is not. So I'll bring this to the front and I'll bring this midge to the front at the same time because it's oriented, and I can set up to 3R wide U2, 3R wide prime, or a variation. I can see our last wing is here and it's misoriented, so that's always good. And so I'm going to put this midge on the right and then bring this down in 1 move. And again, we've got nothing to preserve on the left, so I can do just one move to set these two up, and then I can insert them in 3 moves like that. Now we have a fairly similar case here. We've got this piece, and this piece, and there are a couple of ways I could do this. I could just do a D move to align this to the front, solve this wing in 1 move, and then bring this over. And now we have a pretty nice case. We can just do another F prime move, and then these are both 3 movers. But what I think I'll do instead, because it's not going to use any F moves, it'll be a 2-gen setup, which will be a bit nicer, is I can see that this wing is oriented, this one's misoriented, and the midge is oriented. So this is already looking like a really nice setup. I can do this with an L2. I know this is going to go into the back, but I need to move this over to the side anyway to set it up opposite to this piece. So I'm just going to do an L2 like that, do a sort of a D and a U prime at the same time, and then I've got this piece in the back opposite to this, which I can set up in 3 moves and then insert in 3 moves. So now we've got this, and again, there's a couple of things I can see here. I can make a square on yellow in just 3 moves, but I can't see any other yellow pieces. I will have a think about something else and see if I can do anything with it. I've got a lot of white pieces to work with, and I've got enough pieces to make a 2x3 block. But to be honest, I think it's going to be a little bit awkward to do. So I think I am just going to go with yellow because it was the first thing I saw. Going with the first thing you see is definitely not always a bad idea, and especially if it's just 3 moves to make a square. And the other advantage of that is I know when I make this square, I know that there aren't going to be any other yellow pieces that appear onto these sides that weren't here before. So immediately I'll be able to, for example, put this square on the bottom, do a rotation, and then I know I'll be able to see all of my remaining yellow pieces. So that should help. So I can do my square like that, put it on the bottom, and then I've got all my remaining yellow pieces here, and actually it's a pretty nice case. So what I'm going to do is align this block onto the right. If I bring it down now, it's not going to line up with the square, so I need to do a D move, and I'm going to do a U move at the same time to put this in the same layer. And now actually, instead of solving straight into the bottom, because yellow is going to be my cross center, I don't want to solve the center that's on front, aka red. So I'm actually going to bring this block up like that and then put it in the back so that I can solve my top center, which is orange. And I can make a square with this piece and these two like that, and then I'm definitely going to want to use this to insert my next edge piece. And so looking down, I've got these 3, and these 2 are both connected to a center, so they could both form a block. So what I want to do is make sure that I don't take this center up to the orange face with me when I make this and this into a bar. So instead of doing this like that, I'm taking this block up because that leaves this center here, which is not ideal. What I'll do instead is like a U2, and then I can bring this down this side. So as you can see, we now just have these 2 pieces that will get taken up, and I know none of my remaining orange centers are stuck in this side. So we've just got these. I can pair them up into a block like that. And so I'm going to be aware of these 2 blue pieces, what happens to them. This I know is going to go in the back, so I might not see it, but this will be in exactly the same position as it currently is. So I'm going to insert those pieces. This one goes to the back. And what I'm going to do here, because I know this is oriented, so I can solve it with an R2, is first I'm going to do a D prime to bring this piece over to the side. So that when I do an R2 now, then it gets put in the top layer. And it's just a 4 mover, so it's going to be a really nice insertion. I'm going to go ahead and do that now. I can't see the other piece, so it must be in this back slot. Here it is. And again, I can just do a 1 move setup because we have nothing to preserve yet. This is our first cross edge. I can do a 1 move setup to this, which is now a 3 mover. I saw these 2 red pieces when I was doing the blue earlier. They're not solved relative to blue, so I'm just going to do that straight away, make sure they are. And then we just have 1 wing left, which I can insert with a slice move like that. Now I might do green because I can see these 2 pieces. This one's flipped in the slot, which is not great. And I think what I'll do instead is I'll do orange because I can see 2 pieces there. And these are both oriented, so it would be better if I could deal with those first. So I'm going to insert this piece first. I'm not going to do a B2, obviously. So I'll put the empty slot for orange on the side, and then I'll insert this with an L2. And the thing about that is that's made a back slot visible to me now. And the other thing I can notice as well before I do that is that this slot, which will become the new back left slot, there are no cross pieces in it. This is empty. So when I do that, I'm now completely eliminating one of my blind spots because I know that there's no other cross pieces here, so I don't even need to look at it again. And I can see this piece now, it's been brought to the front, and this case is quite nice. We can just do F, U2, F prime to set up to this, 3L wide prime, U2, 3L wide. So now we've got a green piece here, and we've got this, and I can't see the other one, so I think it's probably this piece here in the back. And I'm going to need to flip this anyway, so I'll just bring it up like that to the front. And yeah, there is our last piece, our last green piece, and it happens to have already solved. This position of this midge might not look great, but actually, in my opinion, I think this subset with a wing solved and then the midge misoriented in the front slot where it's close to the wing, so it's not a three mover. I still think this subset and the mirror are actually pretty good cases overall. Deceptively so. So we've got our final wing in the U layer over here, and so I would do this case from this angle with it in the back. I'm just going to do an F prime to set these two up. I can pair them and then insert, and I'm going to cancel into inserting this as a three mover. Okay, and one more for today. We've got a nice lot of pieces to deal with on green, so definitely going to do that, no hesitation. I can pair these two pieces with these two, and I'm going to do it this way so that I don't lose this piece. I want to keep track of that as well, so I can connect them like that to make two more 2x1s, and then I can insert both of them onto the green face, and I can see this piece as well ready to be set up with this in one slice. So as I'm doing this, I'm going to immediately come back and pair those two pieces up like that. That showed me the other green piece, which is here. And I know from this angle that I'm not going to solve white as my fourth center, because green, if it's on the front, white would be on the bottom, and that's not what we want. So because I know this piece is here, I'm going to rotate and put green on the back, and then solve this case into the back so that I can do yellow straight into the bottom and not have to do any more rotations. Like that. So there we are. I can see a lot of pieces here on yellow, and I know that if I insert these two pieces to make a middle bar, because I can see all of my plus centers, so I know I have none on the bottom already. So I'm just going to make a middle bar with these two, and instead of doing like an F here, because that won't make anything on the front, from here what I'll do is I'll do the slice move and then an F prime, so that when this center gets brought back down, it's in also a bar. And that's especially nice here because I can just do this and these two as a three mover. And then our final piece down here, and we've got this bar. This is also going to be a nice one. And I can see all of my orange pieces here, and they're all on the left and in the bottom, so I know they're not going to get affected by solving this. So I can go straight into orange. What I'll probably do is just bring this straight to the U layer and then insert it as a three mover. This piece has gone into the back, but that's fine because again, we have nothing to preserve. So I can just do a B prime like that, and now I have another three mover. Now I can also see all of the green pieces. I saw this one in the back before, and then we've got these two. And I could insert one of the wings first because this is the midge is oriented and both of the wings are misoriented. But that'll still leave some more moves to put these two opposite each other. So that won't actually be as efficient as a different solution in this case, which is what I'm going to do. I'm just going to solve the midge first because I can see these two wings are already set up in a nice case. They're opposite each other and they're both misoriented, so they're both going to be three movers. And so I could do a D move and insert this into the side, and then I'd have to do another U move to position these. But I think in this case it is probably worth it to just line them up and do an F2, because then I don't need to do any more moves to insert these. So I'll just do this one first, and then this one, and then we have green solved. And now looking at red, I can see these two wings, which are not in great positions right now, and the midge, which is here. And therefore I know that this block is going to be all blue, which is quite nice. And so we've got green on the front, so this wing is lined up already where it needs to go. So I'm going to solve that one first. I'm not going to solve the midge because then this would end up in a back slot. And I'm also not going to let the midge just come down here into a slot because this case is not great. And we can get a much nicer case by just moving the wing out of the way and in fact into the front. And in fact, putting it into the front is quite nice as a general rule. And although this block is now going to end up in this front slot because it's blue, I know that once we align red, it's going to be ready to go above the slot where it needs to go. So I can solve red like this, align the cross. Now we have this case, which is nice. We can do F, U2, F prime. And now we're set up for 3L wide prime, U2, 3L wide. And again, I know this block is here, insert it straight away, bring it to the front, and then we just have a 3 mover to finish off. So as always, I hope this video helped. I hope you learned something. As I always say, untimed solves are the best practice technique, especially for cross edges. So if there's anything in here that you learned that you didn't know before, definitely do a lot of untimed solves. Look out for that and see if you can implement it into your own solves. So yeah, thanks a lot for watching.